Welcome to XXL's Moment of Clarity podcast. We have Rahman and we have special guest A AP Ferg with us today. What's up? Where are you? It's sunny. What's going on? It doesn't look like New York.
I'm in LA.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, so Shaheem is my partner. That's my brother. He had some personal stuff to deal with, so he definitely was like, "Yo, tell Ferg, my bad, whatever. I'm gonna get at him." But definitely a pleasure to speak to you, my
Should
brother.
I turn it this way? Or
Yeah,
this is good.
you
All right.
that way right there.
All right, bet.
So definitely, like Vanessa was saying, much props to you, like for all the support. You know what I'm saying? We've been covering you for years, my brother. Like you hot on fire. Like what you got going on? You out in LA right now. You in New York, nigga. You in LA, so that means you making some moves right now.
Bi-coastal. Like I record a lot in LA. I've always come back and forth between here and LA. I get a lot of work out here, so I got the spot out here where I just, you know, moving and shaking, and I got the spot in Jersey as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm in Jersey right now. I'm in West New York. Yep. So
Nice, nice.
how's it been? Like just like going back and forth, like getting on a plane. Like you from New York, like going to LA, that's a long flight.
Yeah. I mean, I've been out here for most of the quarantine. So, like the first couple of months, I was home in Jersey, and soon as they opened it up a little bit for people to start moving around a little bit, I went to Miami for about a week. I was working with Salaam Remi,
Oh,
and
that's dope.
then I came to LA. I came to LA, and I've been here for the remainder of the time.
So you just let a major cat out the bag. You say you've been working with Salaam Remi. Like
Yeah.
obviously he's done like really incredible production for Nas and Amy Winehouse. How'd you hook up
Is
with
this lighting
Salaam?
cool?
Yep.
Is this light? All right, cool.
Yep.
How'd you hook up with Salaam? That's a really dope connection with y'all two.
Salam has always been like a big homie, a big bro. We both West Indian. He was in the RCA building for a while, and he would just be like somebody I go to ask questions. And we did a few songs together. We did some stuff um, back then, and he worked on the first floor seats on a song called "Dreams, Fairy Tales, and Fantasies" with me and Brent Fayez. So I called him. I was just checking on him, and then I wanted to go to Miami, and he was just like, "Yo, come through." So I just you know went to Miami and was rocking with him for a little bit.
Been seeing a lot of artists, like big time artists such as yourself, like collab, like aligning with like these big producers like Metro Boomin and my man Big Sean and Nas have been doing a bunch of stuff with Hit Boy, etc. Can we looking for a Salaam Remi all produced project? You know what I'm saying with Ferg?
Uh, it's possible, but that's not what we was aiming for. It was just like vibing. It was really just we was in the studio, so because he got a beautiful studio where it's like outside of it you can write, and it's palm trees everywhere. He got mango trees and stuff. There's a vibe, and you can hear the music from inside the studio going in when you're ready to record. So I was just catching a vibe and just, really I was just bored in quarantine, and I wanted to start moving and doing something. And planes were still working, so I took a plane and seen Big Bro, and we were just chopping it up really and playing around with music. But it wasn't really about the music. It was really about checking on a friend and cooling out.
So talk about floor seats too. How about the process for that coming together? Why did you want another, a continuation? What made you do that? And a little bit about the project.
Well, Flow Seas 2 is turned into a series for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt like it was a lot to say um, for just the climate of basketball and the finals and everything happening. So it was like perfect timing. I've built all of these relationships with all of these cool basketball players and good dudes. Um, and everything was just aligning in that way. You know, Ben Simmons. Part of the reason why I went to Miami too was because Ben Simmons invited me out. Like before he started the playoffs, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go to Miami, get a house, chill." So between him and Salaam Remi, I was just building and I was coming up with these concepts. So I just thought it would be like dope to just capitalize off of what I already started and do a part two.
Right.
Yeah, I've been noticing that the NBA, the whole bubble experience, which I definitely wanted to. I was going to ask you because I know you're a big, sports fan, big NBA fan. They've been playing a lot of like hip hop music. Like every single time they go into commercial breaks, they playing the new Nas record. They've been playing Big Sean. They've been playing all types of things or whatever. Like,
I feel
what do
like
you
they
think about
always been
this
playing hip.
this new
I feel like they
phase?
always been playing hip hop though for
They
years.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. One of the things that what we always tried to do was we tried to capitalize off of the fact that we would see people such as yourself like sitting front row. You know what I'm saying?
Floor
And it's like
seats.
growing up, like if you was in New York, right? Yeah, floor exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if you growing up and you a kid in New York, you want to go to the garden, you could never get nowhere near the floor. So
Right.
it's like when we see guys like yourself there, we be like, damn, these niggas made it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a big part of the passion for us.
Right.
What do you think about the whole bubble experience? You know what I'm saying? Like how they have it right now, and the championship could technically be sealed on Friday if the Lakers seal it. Like, how do you see that? Do you feel that it's official or it might not be official because it's in the bubble? There's no fans. Like, I was into the lady from the WNBA last night. She was like, "Oh, we won the championship. It was great, but there was no fans. We didn't really have confetti, whatever." She's like, "But it's great." Like, you being an NBA fan, like, how authentic do you still see this right now?
I miss all of that. I miss the confetti. I miss, everybody popping champagne in the locker room, getting their rings and just all of the celebration that goes along with it. Um, I miss all of that. I miss uh I miss sitting floor seats and the lounge area when it's an intermission break and you get to like bump into some of your favorite actors and you know friends that's rappers and things like that that you ain't seen in a while. Like sometimes I'll bump into 50 at the Garden. I went sat floor seats with J. Cole. He invited me to one of the games. So it's like those perks and those things that like add the excitement to your life when there ain't nothing to do on a Thursday or whenever you just get a random call. Just go to the game and that should be like exciting. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't even
Yeah,
thinking about going to the game,
right.
and I missed those times. The time that I performed, for the finals in Toronto, and they won. Drake is sitting across from me.
Wow.
We, nodding at each other and all of that, and they going up to my song. I'm not even Canadian, and like I'm there performing at their game, and they win the finals.
Word,
By the way,
word.
I feel like my energy led them to win.
Probably.
Uh,
That's what it was, right?
but I'm like,
Who
yo,
you got?
y'all could have got the weekend, y'all could have got Drake, y'all could have got anybody, but they chose me to perform there. So I thought that
Who
was
who
pretty
you
cool.
who you got? Who you think who's gonna take it?
I'm going with the Lakers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in LA. It's back and forth.
Yeah, I know. So
It's either LA
what's
or
the
New York.
energy?
It's
What's
either
the
LA or New
energy
York.
been like?
Huh?
What's the energy been like that out there? Like they right there, they right on the cusp of it.
I
Especially
mean,
considering it's been a crazy year, like especially like with Kobe and all that shit. Like
yeah.
it's like if you a fan of any team, like I'm a big New York Knicks fan. Obviously, I got my Knicks gear on or whatever. But I'm like, yo, we'll love to see the Lakers take that and commemorate that shit for Kobe.
Right. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Even how they played in Kobe jersey, the Black Mamba, like, yeah, like that'll be a beautiful story. And I think they got that spirit in them as well. Like, going out there, they know what they're doing it for already. It's like they can't take no losses. And that's how I be feeling like I can't take no losses. I know what I'm going out there for. And that's why like I resonate with a lot of athletes because I don't feel like a rapper. I feel like a person that got something to say that's really an athlete, because we gotta keep our mindset high and going and on a higher frequency, and we gotta also train our bodies to withstand everything that's coming at us. You going on tours, you flying around. You gotta wake up early in the morning for photo shoots. After that photo shoot, you gotta do a walkthrough, and then you might have to go finish some mixes at the studio, record some features. Man, that shit will wear and tear on you. Years. I've been in this game for what, 9, almost 10 years. And, a lot of people come up and they come down, and a lot of people get burnt out. A lot of people just don't know where to go next. And I think it's important that we train our mindsets and our bodies to really to withstand everything. And I see that in athletes.
Do you play any sports?
Do I play sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, I play ball sometimes.
Have to, but do you that extra layer? Yeah.
I play ball sometimes, but my thing is really like BMX bike riding.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm really into. Like, I always been in like a kid doing tricks on bikes and into the like different off-brand suburban sports, watching X Games and shit like that.
Can you do that more in California now? Is that more? I mean, that seems like there'd be more of a lifestyle there than New York now.
Actually, I haven't been doing any of that in California.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like out here laying low, getting my mind right, writing music, and just
man, we got to get you on the X Games. We have a partnership with ESPN X Games.
Get out of here! Look at that! Look at
yeah,
God.
They do in Aspen, where they do the whole for like 2 days, whatever. So we did like Nas, did Run the Jewels, did Red and Meth, or whatever. Like, and you talking about in the thick of like in January, in the middle of the snow, like hundreds of kids like out of their mind, like going crazy, and we on the top of those big ass pikes, like out there in Aspen.
Yo, my favorite shit to watch back in the days was Travis Pastrana, which was the dirt bike motorcycle trick doer, and Dave Mera. Those are my favorite, like them dudes, and of course Tony Hawk.
Right.
Those dudes, all three of those dudes, fearless.
Yeah.
At anything, they could have risked their life. Like Travis Pastrana was going up dirt mountains, like ramps, dirt ramps, and flipping with the fucking motorcycle.
It's a certain character that does stuff like that. It's a certain person.
Yeah, like
down a hill.
Dave Mera was like doing double flips in the air, like somersaults with his bike, no hands. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Fucking Tony Hawk, you know how tall he is, going crazy on the skateboard, like jumping at the highest ramps. So that shit is what like really get me hyped, and it's that daredevil to dare to shit that gets me.
Yeah, we would literally, we've been doing it for about probably like the past 5 years. We would go all the way at the top of like this big ass pike, and they would be doing the snowboarding. Like, it's so crazy that it's like when you get to the top, like you look down, like the shit just make you dizzy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and I don't like shit like that. I'm a goddamn, like, I don't be liking roller coasters and shit. They gotta be like a real good day.
No skydiving.
Catch me getting on a roller coaster or like wanting to even jump out of a plane. I was with it like one day, like, one day, we gonna jump out of a plane. I was in Australia with the homies, and I'm like, tomorrow let's do that shit. Like, I felt that shit, like, I could do that shit. That day, the tomorrow came, and I was not with it.
No, you quit?
I was just feeling like that in that moment, but like the next day came, and I was like, fuck that shit.
I did it, and when you jump out of the plane, you're like, is this it? Is this how I'm gonna go? Is this it? Did I make the decision? Is this it? Well, okay, I've done it. And then the drop is like the biggest roller coaster ride drop you could possibly imagine.
Wow.
If with the roller coaster, you come back up. With the skydiving, you kind of never feel like you come back up. You just kind of just stop a little bit.
But do it feel like you flying? Like this way?
Yeah, because what they do is you're attached to someone, and he's basically taking control because he knows what he's doing. And I don't know how to describe it besides flying, and then there's somebody in front of you taking video or photo from you. That person doesn't even have the what's it called? The parachute out or whatever. And they're literally just kind of riding the wind. I mean, they're flying. They are.
But you know what fucked me up as a kid? I used to watch this show called Real TV. I'm not sure if you
Yeah, we all
remember
have
that.
PLTV. We're all
Yo, you see the worst shit on there. Like motherfuckers
crashing.
parachutes not coming out.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers got the squirrel suits on. You know them shits that people be like going through the
Then they go
mountains and
through
the
the
cannons and
flying
shit.
suits. Yeah.
Motherfuckers smacking the goddamn cannons and surviving.
Yeah.
But like we fucked up. Like I'm like, yo, I'm not doing none of that shit. Shark bites from surfers and shit like that. I'm like, yo, listen.
They got that.
And they all be white. They all be white people.
Yeah, there's a lot of us who want to do that. They have one where I have a friend and it's like a helicopter and you bungee jump from the helicopter into a live volcano. And I'm like, we're going to do it. Are you ready? We're going. It's like in
Chile. To a live volcano? Why?
Yeah, but the volcano, I don't know, but I feel like
you just like want to end your life in the craziest way.
I think it's like $100,000, so it's really never going to happen, but it's out there and I think about it sometimes.
No, fuck that shit. Like, I love you being here with us on Earth. You don't need to do that shit.
And I felt that, so I'll consider it for the future.
So we work with the people with the all the guys from Rolling Loud like really closely, and Tarek, that's my brother, and we talk a lot about like the specific performers and how they get down, etc. And I always be getting on him about representing New York, and I'm like, yo, the nigga Ferg got it. Like, as far as like what they be trying to target and everything like that, like how have you like having this project and what you're talking about, like how have you gone about trying to the void of having like that fan experience,
like touring and stuff like that,
like doing shows and shit?
I think content reigns supreme. Like where we lack, we got to pick up. So it's like right now we lack artists going out on tour. So it's like, what's the next big thing? Is visuals, and just putting out more visuals, more content, more of the process. I'm about to post some of the stuff from my album making today. Like I got a bunch of footage like during the whole process when I was in the studio working with some of the artists. I got some like crazy exclusive content. Me and Marilyn Manson in the studio working together.
Wow, you fucking with Marilyn Manson? That's crazy.
Yeah, Marilyn Manson is on the album.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, we came up in MTV, and obviously Marilyn Manson was like a huge star like back then, like me and Sha or whatever. How'd y'all connect?
Me and Marilyn Manson connected because I had a song called Marilyn Manson, that C Note, that created New Level, produced.
Right.
He also produced the record stuff on 21 Savage album, the new album. We was sitting on the song for about a year. We was trying to get it to Marilyn. We hired this PR person to get it to him. They got it to him, but he stopped talking to the PR person. They fell out. So it just got quiet. And like, every now and then I'll just go through like songs that I ain't put out or songs that I like. And I ran across Marilyn Manson. I'm like, yo, this shit is fire. We got to do something with this. So I went to Marilyn Manson's Instagram and seen that he was following me. And I had, of course, I followed him back. And I DM'd him. I was like, yo, I got the song Marilyn Manson. I need you on. He was like, I already got it. And I was like, you got it already? He said, yo, I've been touring with this as my intro.
Wow.
For a few months. That's crazy. Over 30,000 people like coming out to the song. And I'm like, word? I'm like, yo, give me your number. So he sent me his number. I FaceTimes him. He's in the dark. Typical Marilyn Manson shit. He got goat bones and shit on his wall with lights on them and shit. So he's like, yo, bro, like, what's up, man? Just, come to the crib. I'm like, later for the crib. Let's get into the studio and get this song done. And he's like, I bet. So he came to the studio. Real cool dude. He pulled up all black fit on, black nails, glitter all over and shit. And I'm like, he's like, sorry for the glitter. If I'm leaving glitter trails, I just left for a photo shoot. I'm like, man, you Marilyn Manson. I could give a fuck about that.
Leave all the glitter you want.
Exactly. And we got into like some conversations and just how shit was for him back in the days, and just asked him about different videos and stuff. Asked him about his creative ways. I think he was trolling a lot of people back then. That's my take on it. Like he was just like he knew how to work media. When there was no social media, he knew how to work media.
Yeah,
and
I actually had the pleasure of interviewing him one time, and it was a very complicated situation. He just wasn't. He's a very challenging interviewee, shall I say?
Okay.
It's not a thing where you can just ask him a question and he responds or whatever. Like he definitely does his homework. So I appreciated him for that.
Yeah. And then we got the song done, the Marilyn Manson song, and I put a clip up on my Instagram. And then like that was happening at the same time I did the Nas record. Mm-hmm. So like while I got Marilyn Manson in one room and I'm in there with Duke Deuce, I introduced Duke Deuce to Marilyn Manson. That was wild. And then wound up going over to Hit Boy spot, saying what's up to Hit Boy. And he's like, yo, bro, I'm working on Nas' album. I got a joint I want to play for you. It's Nas and Fabio Foreign. And I wind up, he's like, yo, jump on a song. And I wind up doing my verse to Spicy. So the Marilyn Manson record and the Spicy record happened on the same night.
Okay.
Wow, are you serious?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
And before the Marilyn Manson record, before we got into the studio, I got to the studio with Marilyn Manson. The day before that, I was on FaceTime with Lil Wayne because he sent his verse and I was saying thank you. And he sent his verse in for No Ceilings featuring Jay Guapo. And Axel did that beat and he turned that song in so quick. I just was super grateful and thankful that, you know, he was just so like on top of it.
So a very productive 48 hours.
Yes.
So one of the, obviously, you know, going back to the sports references we were talking about, definitely got to ask you about, I mean, it's a really dope record that you got with Tiger, but you got a song called Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, so what, dope record, very dope record, like, but why did you pinpoint Dennis Rodman himself?
Well, originally I didn't. It was Tiger's song at first. And Tiger sent me the record. I just happened to be working on a project called Floor Seats 2. And I was like, yo, this fits the whole theme. Like, and I didn't know he was going to like, let me have the record, but I was like, fuck it, it's worth a try. Because he's working on his album and stuff. So I'm like, he's definitely going to want to keep this because it's fire. He's going to want to keep this for his project. And I just asked him, I was like, yo, bro, I wasted no time. Yo, can I have this song? Because this shit is crazy. I was like, we can shoot the video and everything. Like, I'll make sure we pay for the video, everything. We get Dennis Rodman in the video. We just got it. Like, I need this for my project. So he blessed me with the song. And it was right along my alley because, you know, I got the colored hair. I got the chain on the neck. Like, super punk, black dude. You know, that's bringing, like, a different flavor. And I feel like that's how I resonated with Dennis Rodman.
Yo, real shit, fucking Dennis Rodman was at Rolling Loud one year. I can't remember which year it was.
I heard he was telling us that story.
Yeah, that was probably, again, like, you know, we've been dealing with Rolling Loud for like the past like 5-6 years, and it's the moments that happen outside of the stage, like, you know what I'm saying? You
gotta tell Rolling Loud, man, when they gonna let me headline a festival and stop playing. Like,
I'm gonna hit Target. I'm gonna hit Target.
Like, I ain't rocking all these crowds.
You know they
like
doing a Halloween show.
Like I ain't got 2 songs on a billboard right now. Like,
so you know they doing a Halloween show coming up. They just announced.
Man, I want smoke with all of that.
I'm gonna hit Target right after we get off the phone.
Come on, I got anthems. I'm the anthem man.
Yeah, I know. I always tell them because when they came to New York last year, we was like, yo, dog, like, you gotta get the real, like.
I guess he was hearing you but wasn't listening.
Nah, you was one of the main people was talking about. You know, it's just the police situation and all that shit. Like, do you, and speaking of that, like, do you feel like in this space right now with like all like this racism and police and the politics with the election coming up and all this shit, like, how do you navigate safely? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you do shows and you go to a studio, you record, you come home. Like, how do you move safe? Because it's been like a really dangerous environment, specifically not for nothing in LA, like the past like couple months.
To be honestly, to be honest, being black, you don't feel safe. You never really feel that safe.
Right.
I mean, I got security. That's one thing. I feel safe with that, but it's like, you know, I've gotten stopped by the cops and they raided our whip. I'm on my way to Future's concert that I was a part of. And on my way to the concert, I'm super happy, excited. It's a big step for me in my career. And like these DTs pulled us over, start checking the car for guns and like all of that stuff. And like
Always think we into
it
something.
was just they blowing like cigar smoke in our face. I'm like, this is some shit out of a movie. And I'm like, yo, this is not Godfather or some shit, you know. This is not Power. So I'm thinking that in my head, but I'm also thinking like, yo, we're being harassed. Like this is what harassment is because first of all, we have a driver, like we ordered a driver, and like we just on our merry way. Like we don't move like that. And I don't know, like I feel like, you know, rappers specifically may get profiled too. And they just want to stop you and see if they find something or catch something. You know, police trying to meet their quotas. I don't know what it is. It could be like a bit of racism too, self-hatred because some of them guys was black and Spanish that was, you know, blowing smoke in our face.
Right.
And stopped us and was harassing us. So went through all of our shit, left our shit all over the place. We had to like pack our bags again. And then we went on our merry way, and it kind of was a damper to be like the night before, like I started like one of my biggest tours. And so I never really feel safe because I mean, my security was with me as well. And like, you know, it was the same protocol for him. So it's but so much protection you can have, but I just try to stay out the way.
Right.
I just try to stay out the way, mind my business. I go to places that I know. I be around people that I know. I don't let anybody just come sit in a whip. I don't ride in anybody's car. And, you know, I just move like that.
Yeah, because you know, we talk a lot about, you know, the whole social justice movement, etc. And
The
you know,
social what movement?
social justice movement. You know, I used to work. I work with Revolt. I was one of the main people who helped launch Revolt. Puff is my big brother. That's my mentor.
You worked with who?
Puff.
Oh, you worked with Puff before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was one of the main people who launched Revolt.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So when, you know, and I brought the social justice movement to them.
Man, you do a lot, bro.
I mean, thank you, bro. But a lot of that really came from when they had the Eric Garner decision when it was like it was letting the cops go, and we just flooded our social media at Revolt and was just blowing it up, and it was going crazy. And that was one of the biggest things we did. We only was programming videos and a little bit of news content here and there, like doing an interview, putting that stuff out there. That was one of the biggest things we got the biggest response from the younger audience who we were targeting. So it was like, yo, we might be onto something like that. And as we dug deeper into this whole situation, what we had ended up seeing was we was getting a lot of response from the public, from these younger kids. And a lot of the conversation was about, they was like, who's the new leaders? You know what I'm saying? Like back in the days, like I was watching the Yusef Hawkins documentary the other night, and it had Al Sharpton in it, and it had Jesse Jackson in it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a really young nigga, you know what I'm saying, when I came up, and those are the guys to look up to. But it's like now in this day and this age with all this crazy stuff going on, they do have a valid point when they're like, who's the new leaders? So I had been telling them, and I was like, the rappers are the new leaders because they use their voice, you know what I'm saying, to inspire them, and they talk about this shit on social media.
Right.
Is that something that you think about? Like, do you feel that, like, you know, when you go and you say stuff, and especially like within these past 2 years, do you feel that you have even more of a responsibility to lead this, like, for this generation? They definitely look up to you. I got a bunch of nephews and nieces who look up to you, and they talk about your music or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? So Is that something that you think about when you go in there, or you just like, yo, I'm just do what I do?
Nah, I definitely think about it. It's a responsibility because I have a following, and like you said, your nieces and your nephews listening to my music, and you also want to stay current with current events and be for the people because the people is who got me where I am. But you know, like as rappers, sometimes we get scared to say what we know or speak the truth because the size of our platforms. And you know, when you say the truth, sometimes it make a lot of people mad, and
Right.
you risk things, you risk you risk it all. You may risk some of your sponsorships.
Right.
Like they may not like what you got to say,
Have
even
you
though
been
they
Right.
say it's a
following the
freedom of
election?
speech. It's a price to pay.
Yeah. Have you been following the
Right.
election?
A little bit, yes.
Excuse me. What do you think of the New
So
York
what
scene
one
going on? The new New York rap scene?
The new what?
Kind of the new New York rap scene that there's a lot of new more budding artists from New York. It's kind of starting to bubble again. How do you feel about the New York hip hop scene?
Well, before we get into the New York hip hop scene, we could talk about politics if you want.
Okay, go for it.
I'm, because I felt like you wanted to dive into that a little bit.
Go for it.
Like, so, like
yeah,
for me, I never really understood everything about the Democratic Party. I never really understood everything about the Republican Party. I just literally was doing a Zoom call with the senator of Harlem yesterday, and he was basically briefing me on like what's happening. And that's what I want to encourage kids to do. You ain't got to know everything, but as long as you get seasoned or well versed at knowing what's going on and understanding what powers these people have, because it's different players. It's just like sports to me. Politics are like gangs. You got the Democratic Party, you got the Republican Party, and they have different beliefs. Um, and you just have to figure out who works for you and what works for you and what works for your community and what works for your family. Because not only are we putting presidents in power and we're making these guys our president, you got to think about the senators, you got to think about the governors, and these guys that's under these people that's like really soldiers that's putting in the work in your communities. And that will make change directly to the communities. So
right.
like I just want kids to be more abreasted about like the politics. I'm still learning more about it. I never was one that was into it as a kid. I felt like all these motherfuckers is fucked up and this shit is all low key a dictatorship and like they all play golf on the weekends together, but it's really not like that. So
Meaning you feel like your voice has the ability for change. Like you
yeah,
have
now I
the
feel like
ability. You feel like you have more power.
I realize that the people are have the voice to make change. I realize that
Mm-hmm.
for
Are
sure.
you voting this year?
Of course. I voted last year.
Yeah, it's it's
I
crazy.
voted last year and the year before that. So like I'll do like enough like talking to my mom or my uncle about what's going on because I'm busy being an entertainer, working on music. Sometimes we get caught up in our own little bubble. So I had to get well versed on what was happening. I use people around me to find out what's going on, and because I don't really watch the news all the time because it becomes depressing, and sometimes I feel like we get desensitized from watching the news all the time, like constantly seeing like black lives getting taken and constantly seeing like the COVID shit and constantly seeing like the deaths and more death and another
You're
death
beating
and
down. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to see.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't want to see that shit. That's like eating chips and drinking juice and eating mad candy every day of your life and not having no vegetables.
So
Like
when you
we gotta diet our minds as well as our bodies. So it's like sometimes I just stay away from it. I lock into my own zone, but still be connected, still be connected, so I never be like far reach or see him out of touch. And you know, I keep real people around me. I don't be hanging out with a rack of rappers and shit like that. Like I hang out with normal people, and like I talk to people that got 9 to 5s and see what's going on in the world, and that's how I make my judgment on who I should vote for.
So how much of the project that you have out was did you record any of this like during this time, like within the past like 6, 7, 8 months, shall I say?
Yeah, Hectic. I recorded during this time.
How was
Like
how was it?
the second half of it? It was actually cool because it was like I got motivated by it, really like the pandemic is not cool, but the actual like being in it and like being optimistic thinking and like not letting it get the best of me was cool. It gave me a fire that I never had. Driving through the streets in an Uber black truck, and it's nighttime, and you see no cars on the highway, and it's like bridge lights and shit like that, like in the water, like it was a vibe. So it felt dangerous. It felt like dangerous to be outside. I'm in the car with a mask. I get out to go into the studio for the first time. Ain't nobody in the building. It's nobody in Soho.
Wow.
Like, I'm in the studio. So that shit like was a movie to me. I'm like, yo, this some next level fucking
spooky,
movie shit. So I was creating the soundtrack to that, and that's what brought Hectic. I was talking about Black Lives Matter in the second verse, where you hear like P. Diddy talking all through the songs. And like the first verse, I was talking about the pandemic. I changed P. Diddy's name to Puff Daddy on this song. I'm not sure if y'all noticed that, but I changed it because I wanted him to talk the way he talked on Victory, and I wanted him to talk the way he talked on Hate Me Now.
That's dope. I did peep
exactly.
that. I did peep.
Yep.
There's a difference. And I was gonna ask you about that record, but I want to ask you about this one right now because we was talking about it. You got a record called Mass.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm muting.
Curious to hear where, I mean, you know, again, the whole album is crazy, like, you know, which is a no-brainer. How'd you come to that conclusion, like naming a record like that and putting that concept together?
Well, first of all, the name of the song originally was Rick Owen Mass.
It was called
Rick
what?
Owen, like Rick Owen Mass. Rick Owen is
Okay.
a clothing line. You know, it's like an upscale clothing line. It's like super dope. And I got this Rick Owen mask like that I'm actually about to post a picture of. It's like see-through and shit. And then I just thought it was like a concept of the time, and it was super current because everybody's wearing masks. And Hit Boy did the beat, and I had added my artist Anther Panther on the second verse. We should be getting more like music from her real soon. Like she's a super dope artist. I had put on a song called Wigs that featured Asian Doll and City Girls on the last floor seats. So I'm actually working on her project and working on my label right now, which is called Sewer Sounds.
Okay. Everything you say you're working on your own label, everything with the mob. I know that, there was in the news that, you're not ASAP mob. I'm like, you can't do ASAP without Ferg.
I mean, what I got to
y'all the niggas. We in New York, y'all the niggas.
Well, what I got to say is, I have a song called Big ASAP. That's on Floor Seats 2 right now. It's featuring Monica, and I address it. You can hear whatever you need to hear on there.
So, going back to, like I said, in the earlier stages when we was at Revolt, like one of the things that what we had did was we really kind of broke down like the album cover for Biggie's album. You know what I'm saying? We were celebrating Biggie's albums or whatever. And I remember, and I heard this story personally from Puff, which I cherish a lot. He was like, yo, that was supposed to be A$AP Ferg. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I never really knew that. And then was breaking down the history.
He said what? Who was supposed to what?
Was talking to Puff, and he was saying that the kid on Biggie's album cover was supposed to be you, and mentioned the whole history about what your pops.
That's what Puff said?
Yeah, that's what he was telling me, and I was like,
What
wow.
the fuck?
Yes, so we did a whole story, a whole video on the whole thing. And I
Y'all
know
did a
your pops.
video on it?
Yeah, we did like a whole interview with him.
Where
I'll
he
send it to
said
you
that?
after.
Oh my God.
He mentioned some of it in there, and then
Wow.
and I think that I want to
He
say
never
that
even told me that.
I want to say that we even spoke to. They was basically saying that your pops put together the album cover and the baby who's Biggie is supposed to be.
Yo, I'm about to drown myself in this pool. You gotta be
You didn't.
shitting me.
So you never heard this before?
Hell
They were
no.
saying that you're supposed. Yeah,
Yo, I'm about
they
to
were
run
saying
25
you're the
miles.
kid. Yeah, they said that you are supposed to be that your pops, who I guess was like an artist or something like that, like he drew or something, and the
Well,
concept
I know my
behind
father
Biggie's
did the
album
bad boy.
cover,
I know my father did the bad boy
yeah,
logo.
and the
I know
baby
that.
on the cover is supposed to be you. It was you.
And you know what's
Me and Shy
crazy?
talk about this shit.
You know what's insane? My mother used to have this the square glass table in the house where it was like a rack of CDs under. It was like 16 CDs under, perfectly lined up. I seen Mary J. Blige. I seen Total. I seen The Brat, So Def, all of that, Jay-Z, everybody. Biggie CD was in the middle, and it was the one that always stood out to me because of the white background with the brown baby and the red letters. And I never even knew what that artist sounded like, or at least I didn't think I knew. But all along, my father
Yeah,
was playing them in the car. And like when I got older to understand what was going on, I used to take the train, and this is during the time like I didn't have a job, I was down and out. Like, I used to listen to Biggie to get me through those tough days. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
that Ready to Die became like one of my favorite albums from start to
right.
finish. And that's crazy to know that everything came full circle in that way. To where,
Yeah, I
as you
remember.
said, that Puff told you I was supposed to be that baby on that cover. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and
Insane. I would like to know what happened.
so they did a whole story. I'll send you the info. I get the info from V, but I'll send you the info. But they actually tracked down the kid who actually is the person on that picture, and they profiled him in the New York Daily News or whatever. But the whole concept came from your pops. So I remember when we had first talked to him about the story, because we had been talking about concepts and things that what we could build on, etc. And when he was telling me that, I was like, you should be fucking with Ferg. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the next generation, like coming up out of New York hip hop, which we need. It's important to have New York. There was a point where we didn't have no New York hip hop superstars. After 50, we didn't have nobody else. No
That's a
disrespect.
fact. It was Dipset and 50.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We didn't have like the major like hip hop like superstars, whatever. So y'all were the ones who really came on board, and also to attach to what Vanessa was saying, like this whole current movement, like what Pop Smoke, what Pop and all them niggas and 5 Year and all them was doing, they
Yeah,
followed behind y'all footsteps. You know what I'm
that's a
saying? Like
fact.
y'all niggas inspired them. This is the next movement behind that. So clearly, like y'all really like did your thing, but how like what was that like working with Puff? That was the first question, and and then going back to what V was talking about, like with the new movement.
I mean, it's legendary. You know, Puff is like a godfather to me. So, like, it's a, it's like, oh, this is supposed to happen. Like this moment is happening right now with this song. I didn't know it was gonna happen in this way. I didn't know it was gonna happen when we both had something to say about the Black Lives Matter movement and like the brutality that's happening and the killings and everything that's happening right now. And when I started making Hectic, and I'm producing. I produced the second half of the beat. T got produced the first half. So he produced the pandemic half. I produced the Black Lives Matter half, where you hear the beat drums and shit like that.
That's real.
And um, you know, I started hearing Puff on it because during this whole time of like the riots and everything, me and Puff was talking every day. And I did like a revolt panel with some of like, you know, his powerful friends and people that's doing things around the community that's, you know, representing the Black community. And we was just like, yo, what are we gonna do? I would call him, I would call Swiss. I was talking to him in Swiss and just trying to figure out like, what's my place? I even sat down with the Black Lives Matters, the founders, you know, the women who created Black Lives Matters. I sat in their backyard and like just trying to figure out like, you know, what more can I do? And they say, you know, you're already doing enough by being you and you know, being successful and just being an example of what you can be. That was powerful for me to hear. And just, you know, doing great things around the neighborhood and stuff, but I just wanted to do more. So I was like, man, this is the only way I could really express myself is through song right now, at least for now. And I created Hectic and thought Puff would be perfect on it because it was like a different sounding beat. I know he'd be liking that different sounding shit, you know, real like cinematic vibes. You know, the movie, I mean, the song, which is a movie, it starts off like a Blade song, like you walking through a goddamn rave or some shit. And that's how I felt when I was creating this song. And like during the pandemic, and I had Thorm on it, and he killed it.
The last question I gotta ask before I know V wants to jump in. The whole move your hips back and forth, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's on the album. You know, we did something with you, you know, on like, I think it was on a Twitch show with Shy, and they had all the fucking barbs was going nuts, like, after that.
Right.
Are you happy, you know, with how like everything eventually ended up playing out with Move Your Hips? It's on the album, it's successful. Amid all the whatever controversy, not saying it's controversy, whatever, like, are you happy with the product? Like when you and Nikki's somebody who, you know, I know very personally, you know, really good friend of mine or whatever, dope artist. Are you content? Like, are you happy with, you know, how everything ended up playing out? Like, clearing up any misconception or anything around that?
Sorry, I was just writing some stuff on my whiteboard.
That's all right. You know, you gotta hit that whiteboard, bro.
I'm getting inspired. I'm
busy.
I'm getting inspired from our conversation. Yeah, I'm happy with the song. Like, I charted, man. Like, you know, I'm a Black kid from Harlem. I never thought I'd be doing any of this shit. You know, like, I don't really care about numbers and, you know, what shit is doing and all of that shit like that. Like, I never was a number watcher. I'm like not a number watcher, I'm a heart stopper. You know what I'm saying? It just came to my head, I had to say it. I'm not a number watcher. Like, I've always been into like what moves a fan, you know, linking up with my fans and just making sure that they straight. You know, I would love to make more fans, but I've never been into like, you know, the charts and we got to do this and do and make strategic plans to, you know, go crazy on the charts and like, nah, I never been into that. And two, I made the charts before that with Plain Jane, which was like the song that made it made 25 on the charts, number 25. Move Your Hips did way better than Plain Jane, and Plain Jane did that at its peak and went to 25. First week, Move Your Hips went, I think, 10, number 10, first week. So that's Plain Jane at its peak. Move Your Hips made number 10, and it wasn't even in its peak. So it was a 150% win for me. Like, I'm okay. And her fans talking about like, I didn't give in like the sales or whatever, so I fucked up like the numbers, you know, of like we could have went number one or whatever the case may be. But that's all bullshit because Billboard collect all of that shit themselves. You ain't supposed to turn no sales in. So that's bullshit. I don't know who planted that in the eco. the ethos. I don't know who planted that in the ethos.
Right.
So what's next? Like
You know,
what you we gonna see a video? We gonna see a
I mean,
virtual.
I put out a few videos. I put out Dennis Rodman. I put out Movie of Hips, which I did a short film for. I put out No Ceilings with me, Wayne, and Jay Guapo. That's 3 videos right there in a matter of probably like 2 months.
And the Wayne collabo is obviously like really really epic, and I feel like y'all two guys that is like at similar points, like where you started your career. Like Wayne was mad young when he started his career. He just dominated, you know what I'm saying, being part of a crew. And the same thing like with you, like you was the young guy, like just dominating within your crew. Because Wayne, when Cash Money really jumped off, it was all about Juvenile. You know what I'm saying? And when you had the ASAP Mob, it was like all of the attention might not have necessarily been on Ferg, but it's like you've been shining like the brightest. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Wayne. Like I think that was like a really dope collaboration, like how y'all came together, and I'm sure that the fans really appreciate it.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. I guess it's like when the underdogs start to win, right?
I mean, I don't want to say you was an underdog. Like you just wasn't. It was this label shit.
I consider myself an underdog. I
Nah,
mean, I'd rather be underrated than overrated.
Yeah, I don't even look at it like that. It's just label shit. Like I was saying, it's what the label want to push first. Like they had Juvenile, they trying to push high. You know what I'm saying? And then you might have ASAP, and they trying to push Rocky, whatever. That doesn't mean that you underdog. They trying to prioritize. But at the end of the day, the people decide. You know what I'm saying?
But
and,
also to add to what you're saying, though, just to give you like insight on it, I don't know if it's like, the label like choosing, like, I mean, you got 2 artists, you push both artists. It's not like really like, I could see if you got like mad artists at your label and like you can't really focus on nobody but the biggest artist. But like for me, I've always ran my team like a small label. So I always was prioritized through my team. And I always kept somebody in the building to make sure that we was checking on them budgets and made sure we was checking on the, digital or marketing or whatever the case may be to make sure we spending the money in the right places. So I was always priority. That's why I identify with the underdog because, it wasn't my time yet.
Right.
And that's okay. And I feel like for Wayne, it wasn't his time. He tapped in when it was the right time and became Lil Wayne. The pussy monster, the fucking goblin, it started glowing up. And that's how it would be. Even for Drake, it wasn't his time when he was touring with Wayne and being like a backup singer for him or, touring and having to share buses with him and stuff. But then he had to prove himself to be who he thought he was in his mind. And he became Drizzy.
I think it's a good explanation of it, yeah. All right, well, we've had you on here for a while, so anything else you want to add before we let you go? It's been a nice long conversation. We've enjoyed it.
I just want to say I got something up my sleeve, and it's probably going to be, it's undoubtedly some of my best work I've ever created in my life.
Oh, that's great.
And I've worked on this album for 2 years. And it's with a well-known producer that everybody loves. It's a fucking icon. And I got some amazing features on there. And but it's not even about the features. It's really like, I only, say features because they accented the project well. But like it's super good music and I can't wait to give it to the world.
Well, we'll have you back on as soon as that drops so you can tell us more about how it came together.
Yeah. And for all the fans, make sure y'all tune in and y'all go get Floor Seats 2. It's out right now. Shout out to all the ballers on there. Shout out to all of the producers on there. Shout out to all of the artists, Big Lotto, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Jay Guapo, you know, Anthem Panther, yo, everybody that's on that joint. Puff, Marilyn Manson, Tiger. Appreciate all of y'all.
And thank you for keeping the heartbeat of hip hop, New York hip hop, alive and breathing.
Oh, I appreciate you.
That shit means a lot. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on it. This is my job. You know what I'm saying? I make money off of this shit. Like, so it's dope to see niggas like you come up and just like represent it. We'll always support you, my brother. Much success to you. Congratulations on everything.
Much success.
Appreciate you, my G.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care, my brother. Stay safe out there in LA.